You need to glue it right here.
Yeah, but that's not what they're actually going to be seeing.
Oh.
Because we're going to have the comments today.
Oh, yes. It's a juicy one.
It's a juicy one. Okay, so literally, hold on. Let me make sure we're like at least just in the frame.
Okay.
Welcome back to Bling and Blabber. I'm not Tiffany. I'm Tay.
I'm Tiffany. It has been a minute since we blinged and blabbered.
Yeah, because we had Pinners Conference, and then we've just been crazy busy getting back to regular life and planning for the next Pinners Conference.
And another. We got to do a little. Have you updated on Pinners and how it went?
I did a whole behind the scenes for the next Pinners yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah, it was like an hour long, me unboxing everything I bought for the next Pinners.
Wait, on YouTube?
Yeah, yesterday morning.
I haven't seen it yet. I need to get
Some
on it.
follower you are.
I know.
Will you close that door?
Yes.
Bugging me.
Yes.
It's you did. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you have to get up.
No, you're fine.
Could have just went like this, but
I got like this and.
Okay, so yesterday, Tiff came in and was like, I have to give you guys a backstory of why we're even talking about this today. Because honestly, I don't know, like I even debated. I was like, do I even respond to that show or whatever? And I thought about maybe responding by myself because I have a Mormon background. And I was talking to Tiff and she was like, are you watching? I was like, heck yeah, I'm watching. And then she said something and I was like, what? And then I was like, hold that story. We're going to talk about this on Bling Blabber. So I don't know the behind the scenes of what you're about to tell us.
Okay.
And I don't think you know my background.
I didn't know your background and mine's very brief. Like I don't remember a lot because I was a kid.
Right.
But yeah.
But it'll be interesting because, yeah, so Tiff said yesterday before she left, she said, well, you know, I got baptized as a Mormon as a little girl. And I was like, no, that's like another level of commitment, but it's interesting because, so I want to know the story behind this. And I also want to respond to the comments on Instagram that I got because I let everyone know we were doing this today and the comments were crazy. So
I'm nervous.
I didn't even tell her the comments.
I have no idea what I'm in for. I'm scared.
But I think that shows, and I just want to give a debrief, like not a debrief, a disclaimer before we even talk about anything. One is both of us I felt that Tiff could share in this conversation because she has this somewhat of a background that we're about to learn about. Two, we both love everyone. I feel I'll speak for myself, but I love everyone.
I love everyone too. I can't take her.
I knew it. I just wanted it to come out of your own mouth. But as Christians, and I want to put that out there too, we are both Christians and followers of Jesus Christ. And I'm a pastor's wife, a Reformed pastor's wife. So I just want everyone to know, like, we're not Mormon. So in case you like jump in and you rewatch this later and you're like, but I thought you guys are Mormon. We're not Mormon. We both have somewhat of a Mormon background to an extent. And then I love all people regardless of their religion, regardless of their anything. Like, because as a follower of Jesus, you are called to love everyone.
Right.
So anything I talk about today is going to be strictly two things. My opinion, I probably will tread lightly on. My facts and theology, I don't really tread lightly on that type of stuff. So if I do address theology or books or things that are fact, I'm just gonna put them out there without any emotion tied to it, because there's no reason to get upset about like what people believe. And if it rubs someone the wrong way, then I feel like, what is that? Why? So let's unpack, why is that rubbing someone the wrong way? And can we at least have that conversation cordially and talk about it without getting upset that someone else believes something? It's hard when you cross lines of like murder and rape and all those things.
Yeah, it is.
Because you're like, well, hold up. That triggers emotions. Like, that's not okay. So
I love the disclaimer because I feel like talking about religion is just such a hot topic and a hot take.
Yeah, and this is another thing, like, I kind of want to talk about, like, the show muddles up so much into one because it is, first of all, entertainment, but second of all, it dabbles in social media and like how that works, and so like that's intriguing, but then it also dabbles in the religion, but then it also has two sides of the spectrum, like extreme devout and extreme left the church. So it can be confusing, as I've heard with a lot of the questions, but it can also be very entertaining. And these are people's livelihoods, like, first thing, but they have put themselves out there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I feel like it is a show, so it's edited in a way that someone wants to portray it too, so you have to be mindful of that as well.
Yes.
So,
yes.
we're only getting like a small glimpse of,
right,
you know,
what they want to share, what they, yeah, because it
and
is,
how they construed it together to do this plot line.
Exactly. And all reality TV produced by an industry, not yourself, which I think we'll talk a little bit about the Mormon influencers that are on YouTube. Like, I still believe they kind of portray a certain way, not all of them, but there is this, like, when you're even editing yourself, you can portray a storyline, which we have found with a lot of things that are starting to come out now about some of the Mormon influencers that are on YouTube who are documenting their own lives and putting them out there. So,
and just watching, watching this show and seeing the girls on there, like, going to check out their social medias too, you just have to be mindful that it is social media, like, it is a highlight reel for everybody. And just that, really watching the show was this big reminder of that, because when you watch the show, it looks like a lot of toxic relationships and things going on and friendships and all this, but when you look at their socials, at least before like all the drama started coming out, it looked really just like easy peasy, nice, normal. We're just a bunch of girlfriends, we have a happy marriage. And people struggle. The reality is people struggle.
Yeah.
And so just keeping that in mind too.
And I think that's the thing, is they're capitalizing on like 2 or 3 things that happened, but they made it sound like that was going to be the whole premise of the entire show, and it's not. And there's some good nuggets in there, but there's definitely, it's just a hodgepodge of theology mixed up with like entertainment mixed up with some extremely like stuff where I'm like, this is just raunchy and not okay for anyone to put on the internet regardless. And I know people who aren't believers in anything would still say, hey, but there is still some parts of our lives that we want to keep private.
Right.
And I think that is one of the biggest things I've seen with the show, is just how much they're willing to put out there just to make a buck, because they are exposing their husbands, they're exposing each other, they're it's just raunchy.
Right.
Like, it's just done really raunchy.
Yeah.
But
which is like great for sure,
for
like
entertainment
value, because I really do feel like every episode they're bringing the tea, and my mouth is just like,
And you're only on episode what?
I'm the beginning of episode 3. I'm like 10 minutes into episode 3.
Yeah, and I ended episode 6 yesterday, so It gets worse, but the whole thing is mom talk, and it's like this unified mom life to break free from the stigma of how Mormon women are so oppressed. And I get it. I get that you want your good mom friends, but also they're working together. This is like a pure working environment. Some of these people didn't know each other before this whole thing started. They literally collaborate just to make content. So all of it, you have to filter all of it through the fact that every single thing that is on the show, they have been asked, are you okay with this? And they either say yes or no, and then they put it out there.
Yeah. So what's crazy to me is I've used the hashtag mom talk on my TikTok, and I didn't know it was affiliated with like the Mormon mothers group. Like, I didn't know it originated there. I thought it was just like mothers of TikTok. Like, I didn't know it was like their thing. So that was like new to me.
Right.
By the way, who else is watching this show? Like, I gotta know like the people watching. I want to know, like, are you currently watching this?
Yes, so ask questions. I already have a good amount of questions from Instagram from yesterday, and then also give your opinions on the show too. I don't really care where anyone falls on it. at all. But hey, Clarita. Hey, Larissa. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Stacy. So Larissa is Tiffany's sister, and she literally was like, "What?" And then I told her what you said, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I kind of remember that." So, okay, Tiffany, I want to hear your background, and then I'll try to give a brief, quick, background on myself, and then we will talk the questions.
Okay, I'm scared about the questions. So mine's really brief. Like, I don't remember a lot because I was like younger, but I just remember my mother being friends with a guy who was a Mormon, and my mom was like a young single mom. We lived in Hawaii. She didn't know a lot of people. Like, she was just, you know, getting to know everybody and all that stuff. But I don't know how their friendship progressed or anything like that. I just know, like, I'm guessing he probably invited my mom to church and all that. And I don't remember actual, like, meetings, right? That's what they call them, meetings? Or is that Jehovah's Witness?
Yeah, well, it's like, yeah, they
Church
change how they
service.
say things all the time, but yeah.
Yeah. So I don't ever remember going to a service and stuff, but I do remember being baptized as a Mormon, which is a really faint memory. I just know that's like part of my history. And yeah, I don't.
So okay, wait. So you were baptized?
Yes.
You were in like the font that they have where you're dressed all in white.
I don't even remember that, but yes, I remember.
Do you have pictures?
I don't know. This is stuff I tried to call my mom yesterday to like ask her more details about it.
Yeah.
And I don't remember. And I was actually talking to my sister this morning about it, and I'm like, do you remember if this was like? Because then, you know, my mom is young and impressionable, and like, you know, just divorced and all this stuff. And it's like we also dabbled with like her dating someone who was a Jehovah's Witness for a while and going to meetings, and I remember those being like very sterile and like weird, and I don't know. So I felt like there was a lot of like religious confusion when we were growing up, which, you know, I don't know if you guys know, I'm sure a lot of you know, but me and Tini are cousins, and my dad's side of the family, or many of them, are Christians. And so it's just, I don't know, it's just so crazy to have had all that when I was younger, like all these different
experiences of different religions.
Yes, and then coming back to a Christian faith. But yeah, I don't remember being like dressed in whites, but like I feel like I kind of do, but I don't know if there's pictures, because obviously this is a time where you had like an actual camera.
Right. You'd have to have
I would have to ask my mom more. All I know is that I was baptized as a Mormon, so was Larissa. And maybe Larissa can comment, because I don't remember.
So you can't get baptized till you're 8, so you had to have been a little older.
Yeah, I'm guessing like more like middle school, like Emmy's age. But I don't remember. But I don't remember a lot of my childhood, like being younger. Like, you already know.
Yeah.
I struggle with my memory.
Yeah.
So I just have these brief recollections, and I remember getting 2 books from them, like a Book of Mormonism and then like a Bible.
Right.
And so I remember that part of like the story, but it's very fragmented. All I just know is like that is a part of my story, but I don't really have like a ton of details because I was younger, and I feel like I don't know if this was like my decision or if my mom was like, we're just gonna do this. Like, I can't really remember. Like, I wanted to call her and ask her, but she didn't answer her phone.
Rude. Okay,
I know. So that's it.
So many thoughts.
It's not
so
very.
Many thoughts. I know but that goes to show just how quickly they are interested in baptizing you. And again, I say this stuff and I'll talk about my Mormon background, but if you have ever talked to missionaries, you will not have any knowledge on the religion, but they will want to baptize you as soon as possible. And that is because they want to get you sealed into heaven, because that is success to them. Like, oh, we got one, and she's saved now because she's been baptized into the correct church.
Right.
And so to them, you're good. You're baptized in there. You're sealed, but if your whole family isn't sealed, you'll be there alone. Like, based on their theology.
Mhm.
So you and your sister will be there alone.
I'm going to heaven with Jesus Christ.
No, I know, but just there's just so much theology behind the baptism itself that it boggles my mind that they will baptize little kids and kids of families who have no idea what the theology is, and then they just put you in it. Because for one, like, if you were to get baptized into a Christian church, or like if you were to say I want to get baptized at just a regular evangelical church, that is not significant of your salvation.
No.
That does not say you have the holy power now to get into heaven. Whereas in a lot of other religions, I'm not just talking about Mormonism, they put criteria on what you have to do in order to get to heaven, or whatever they want to call heaven. And that's one of the things is if you are a part of anything that says Jesus plus something equals salvation, question it. That's all I'm going to say with that. Jesus alone is the way into heaven.
Yeah, Jesus
and
saves you. He died for you.
Yes, and Jesus plus anything, that's an issue. That's a theology issue. And if anyone wants deeper dives into this one day, maybe I'll talk about it. But it's just, that's the hardest part with tons of these different sects of religions coming up and saying, well, Jesus is good, but you also have to have this and you also have to do this.
Right.
And so it's just it's mind-boggling to me that they would baptize two kids into a religion that your mom didn't even have any idea about.
No.
But I'd be interested in hearing more details if she remembers them.
I know. Trust me, I want to ask her now, because I was like,
they weren't dating.
I don't think they were dating. I think they were just friends, or maybe they wanted to date or whatever. But being that when you're Mormon, there's so many rules around marriage and all this kind of stuff. I don't know what the storyline was behind that, because again, I'm young, I'm oblivious.
Right,
I don't really know.
You're a child.
Yeah,
You're just trusting whatever you're being told.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, I know many, many, many people who have either forced somebody to get baptized or asked them to get baptized. I'll say not forced, but in order to stay in a relationship with them, or in order to get married, or in order to just even be in a dating relationship with them, because they date to marry, which is there's not a problem with that, I don't think. But they also they take marriage very seriously, and so you are sealed for all eternity when you get sealed together, when you are married.
Which, don't you think that's kind of crazy? Because in the show, a lot of them are divorced.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why divorce is such a stigma in the show, because it's so much theology mixed in. Yes, and so that's there's so many of the questions that people had asked that I'm like, yes, I know it sucks, it's crazy, it's weird, it doesn't make any sense, but it's making people wonder, why is this a thing? And not that, I don't know, I'm not gonna, if anyone is divorced, that's one thing, but if you're divorced in the Mormon religion and you have been sealed together in the temple, if you haven't become unsealed, you basically will go to heaven and become married again, because you are sealed together. I think there's a way to become unsealed, but they're sealed. And your family is sealed too. That's why it's very important for them to baptize their kids, because if their kids aren't baptized, they won't be sealed, and sealed them as a family, and families are forever in the Mormon religion.
Right, and I actually don't know a lot about the Mormon religion, to be completely honest, so a lot of this stuff too is new to me. I just know that there's a lot of rules and regulations and stuff, and I feel like it's very legalistic.
Very.
Whereas that's as a Christian, I don't want it to be legalistic. I want it to be this relationship, and I do things because I truly love God and what He did for me.
Exactly, and I think that sums it up, because Jesus came and was driven nuts by the Pharisees, and that was literally his whole point. It was you guys are following every single rule to a T, to the point where you're missing the point.
Right, your heart
is bad, while your rules are aligned with what I want. I want your heart first.
Mm-hmm.
I want you as a person. I'd rather have you divorced than you staying in a marriage because you know that that's the right thing to do according to your religion. And all you have to do is read the Bible to see that Jesus breaks all of these stigmas. He's like, I didn't come for the righteous. I came for the people who are in these spots. And the woman at the well who had 5 husbands and wasn't even with her 5th husband, like, he came for that, to tell them, like, listen, you got it all wrong. The people who are in the temple literally doing the righteous things are starving people on the outside and not loving them, and that's not what I care about. Yes, it's like he wants us to do things so that we don't harm ourselves for our own good, but it doesn't change the relationship we have with him, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just hearing all the rules that they have, and in the show they're always trying to, I feel like, walk the line or test the boundary of sin by, like, oh, we can't smoke or drink, but we will get Botox with laughing gas to feel a high, but it's okay because it's laughing gas and it's not weed or cigarettes, so we're good.
Right.
Like, it's just teetering around sin and the legalisms of it, and kind of, I feel like, pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And it's just, yeah. So, yeah, we are talking about Mormon sister wives. Kim said
Mormon sister wives or Mormon
no,
wives?
not
the sister wives.
Kim said Mormon sister wives, I think is the show. No, so it's, see, which is like, it's so complicated because there's so many elements to this, and I'll try to break it down as easy and quick as possible. But sister wives is a whole nother round of stuff. We're talking about the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
It's
the
on
new
Hulu.
Show, yeah. Just came out on the 6th. So, yeah.
Sorry, I was reading the comments. My sister just texted me. She's like, why aren't you guys reading the comments?
Okay, sorry. Let's see.
It's a lot to do a talk and...
Because I'm going to go back and read them all. So that's what I do. I'm going to address the Instagram questions, and then I'm going to address these questions. But let me tell you guys my background in Mormonism. So I used to say that I was raised half Christian, half Mormon. And that's because my dad's entire family is Mormon, and most of them are still practicing Mormons. A couple of my cousins have left the church. Some of them have left to be Christian. Some of them have left to be atheist. Same with my siblings. I have one sister who's left, and I'm not really sure where she falls with her faith, and one who is an active Mormon still. And then I was kind of teetering in and out because my mom was the family that Tiffany is talking about, where we are very, like, Jesus freaks. We're a Jesus freak family, I'm not gonna lie. But, you know, it has been so helpful through my walk with, like, my own questions for religion, because I could go to my uncles and my aunts and I can ask them questions, and they were always open to answer things for me with a non-judgmental way.
Are these the Mormon ones or the
No.
Oh.
My Christian family.
Okay.
So, Christian family, Mormon family. So, long story short, my Mormon family has no relationship at all. I don't talk to really any of my cousins. We try, but there's a lot of, like, just discombobulation in there. Which one of the questions on Instagram kind of talks about that, so I figured I'll lean more into that with that question. So then my mom's family, I have 3 uncles, but 2 of them were pastors, so I always would ask them questions. Our Uncle Tony, who passed away last year, was so in love with Jesus and so knowledgeable in the Bible, and I thank our whole family for being there for Dustin, because Dustin was an unbeliever when I met him, and he was like, okay, so when he came to Jesus, he was like, well, which Jesus? Like, do I go to your Mormon side and learn that, who he was working with my brother-in-law at the time, who is active Mormon, or do I go with the Christian Jesus? And he's like, but they keep saying they're the same thing. And so Dustin really deep dived when we were about 21, which caused me to deep dive into the religion itself too. Because that was the time when a lot of people in my family were leaving the church, and some were choosing to stay, some were getting married to unbelievers or non-Mormons, some were getting married to, like, and it just happens, like, and it's very hard to live a righteous life the Mormon way. And so I had a lot of family members who didn't make it into the Mormon church because they were struggling with sin. As you all do. Like, as everybody struggles with sin.
Every human on earth struggles with sin.
But there are lines in the Mormon church where if you cross over a certain line and you are truthful about it, your bishop, which you should go and tell your bishop everything, basically, if you're in the Mormon church.
Kind of like a Catholic?
Kind of, yeah. It's kind of like confession, but you're not forced to do it. And a lot of people hold stuff from their bishop, but they're told you should talk to your bishop about this. So the bishop is basically like the head of the ward. So they have wards, which is like their small little zone. Then they have their stakes, which is like 10 different wards in one, and there's a stake president. And then, but you go to your bishop for everything. So he's kind of like your pastor. And one thing a lot of people don't know about Mormons is they get preached the same exact message across the entire, every single ward is getting preached the exact same message that their living prophet has come up with this, what they're going to talk about. And so they don't really have even pastors that have gone to theology. They just have really devout volunteers that turn into bishops. And so this,
and they're basically just regurgitating whatever it is.
Told to
so
tell.
Literally every Mormon is hearing the same thing on Sunday?
Yes. And then there's like times, like, so the first Sunday of the month they do Testament Sunday where people will just get up and they basically share their testimony, and but their testimony is usually not like a life story. Like, so in the evangelical world, our testimony is like our entire life. Whereas on Testimony Sunday in a Mormon church, you'll probably find them talking about like what happened that week, and that's their testimony. And then there's a lot that goes into that. But so basically Dustin started really deep dive into theology of both, and I was like, this is a lot, like they're just Christians. And he's like, wait a second, but this, and this. And it really caused me to lean like far, far away, and I probably would never ever consider the Mormon church as a church that I would join ever, just because it doesn't theologically line up with what the Bible says. And so that was one of the questions on Instagram was, what book do Mormons read? And they read 4 books. They read the King James Version of the Bible, but only that translation. They read the Book of Mormon. They read the Pearl of Great Price, and they read the Doctrine and Covenants. So there's 4 different books, but they hold, and if I'm wrong, and if there are any Mormons watching, feel free to call me out on things. But they hold the books higher than the Bible. The other 3 are more. And so they have a lot of books that they read.
Like they hold those books more than their King James Version of the Bible?
More reverent, because there's a lot of contradiction in those books that go against the Bible, but they'll lean into the 3 books first before they. So one of those main things is the Trinity, which they believe that God, Jesus, and Satan are God's sons, and they battled it out to have the Savior, to be the Savior of this planet, and Satan lost, and so that's why Satan is the enemy, but they're brothers, and God...
Which totally contradicts the Bible.
Yeah, I mean, it all contradicts the Bible.
What?
That's what I'm saying, is if you just walk through the storyline, you can see easily where it contradicts the Bible, and so... But also, God was once a man who was righteous enough to make it to the celestial kingdom, and now it governs this planet, which is this world. And so it's a lot. And then but yes, they do believe in Jesus Christ, and the Christmas story is the same, and you can talk about any Bible story with a Mormon and they will know it most of the time. And the one thing the Mormons do really well is they read their books. Something Christians suck at. They read their books, so they do know the stories, but again, they hold the other books with higher reverence to the Bible. So in evangelical Christianity, we know that God is uncreated, and God is the only God, and thou shalt not have any other gods before me. And it's hard to have that first commandment stand firm when you're being told God was created, and God was a man, and Jesus wasn't fully God in the Mormon church. He was his son, and they are 2 different beings. So it's it's just kind of hard to say that they line up when there's so many things that just don't line up.
Right.
So, did I go into most of it? So, yeah, I grew up going to the Mormon church on Sundays if I was with my grandma or my dad. I never got baptized, but if I would have wanted to, they probably would have just gotten me baptized. And I think my family would have had an uproar if I did, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Your mom would have.
Yeah, my mom would not have allowed it.
No.
And I think if I had, my family would just have called me out. And I think I just knew better by 8 to be like, I don't think I'm ready for that. And I actually chose to get baptized when I was in 8th grade. I decided which is kind of interesting because it's like a mix of both religions, because I was like, I know I love Jesus. I had been going to a youth group with a friend, and I was like, I want to get baptized. And so my dad, who was Mormon, was like, well, guess what? I can't baptize anyone in the Mormon church because I'm not worthy. So how about I go baptize you into the Christian church in the river? And so I was like, sure. So I gathered like 7 friends from school, and I was like, we're going to do a party at the river, and I'm going to get baptized. And
look at God's glory in your dad not being good enough in the Mormon religion, so he was like, well, you're getting baptized as a Christian. And like, what a blessing.
Yeah.
And
even like for my dad to get to do that was so special for him, because it just showed like the sovereignty of God and how you can come to him at any moment in your life.
Right.
No matter how unrighteous you are, you can always cry out to him, and you can always lean into him. And there should never be anything withheld from you when it comes to Jesus, when you want to be with Jesus.
Because in reality, we're all bad people.
Yeah.
So.
And we are all sinned and fall short of the glory of God. It's just.
No one deserves it, but he died regardless because he loves, like, we don't deserve anything that he's done for us, but he is so gracious and merciful that he's given that to us,
and that's what's really hard about being a Mormon. And this
I feel
show
like that's what's
highlights
missing.
that.
Yeah, that's what's missing, because I noticed in the show too, they all struggle with like just this immense guilt and shame. And
yes,
like this one girl talks about how she's so shamed about like sex and stuff, but then the minute you get married, then you're supposed to turn it all on, and there's this like secrecy. And like that's one thing I always appreciated, like with like growing up with my mom and stuff, is just like the transparency of like sex. Like I could ask her questions and stuff, and I feel like it is so taboo in that religion, where you're just like, she's like, I kind of just felt like I got thrown into that, and my wedding night was like a comedy or a horror story,
and you have like hormones going like crazy because you're not allowed to do anything, or they because
it's so, again, just like that legalistic, that taboo, everything's like so secretive, but it's like, it's not supposed to be secretive. It's supposed to be relational, which should be how humans do life and how we do life with God. So, yeah, that was really like, whoa.
Which it's, so anybody who understands what communion is, or they call it sacrament. So on Sunday mornings, they do sacrament every Sunday, which is like.
Who's they?
Mormons.
Okay.
So sorry, if you're watching, my hand on this side means Mormons. My hand on this side means evangelical Christians.
I'm like, wait,
I know, she's like, what are you talking about? So
like, we don't do it
I'm
every
doing a lot
Sunday.
of hand over here. So Mormons do sacrament every Sunday. Christians churches do it all different times. Whenever they, like, our church does it first Sunday of the month.
That's how ours does it too.
Yeah, so everybody's kind of a little bit different on that. But the one thing they do is they do water instead of grape juice or wine, because they don't want to signify anything that has to do with alcohol. And so that goes into the why they don't drink, period. But the thing is, if you've had your priesthood taken, so basically all men get they talk about it in the show, that why women can't baptize their babies or bless their babies is because they don't have the priesthood. The men get the priesthood, but your bishop can choose to take your priesthood away if you're not living a righteous life. But if your priesthood has been taken away, you cannot take sacrament, which is a very public display of your shame every Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And I remember when my dad was struggling with this and he would come over to the Christian church and he'd be like, I can take communion. I'm like, heck yeah, you can take communion. Like, go get your Jesus. Like, he would be like, well, that kind of sucked for me when I'd be sitting there and everybody can like see who's not taking sacrament. And the bishop knows who
should and shouldn't be.
Yes. So and yes, there is an element of like being right with the Lord and posturing your heart properly before you go to the altar, but it's like to be told you have no access here because you're a sinner is just like that has nothing to do with your heart in that moment. You could be repentant that day and get it, regardless if your bishop told you or not.
Right.
Because
again, it's about your personal relationship and your convictions and your what's the word I'm trying to think of? I can't think of it right now.
It's just a relationship. It's personal. It's different. It changes every day.
Repentance. Your repentance.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Repent. Yeah. So some of the questions from Instagram, then I'll go to the YouTube questions just because I don't want them to disappear. The holy underwear.
I don't even know what this is.
Did you not see the episode where she's talking about she left her garments?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
Okay, so please explain the holy underwear. I see them in swimsuits, so I'm confused when they wear them. So let me go into just a second what their word of wisdom is.
Is that what you wanted?
That looks so good.
Just done?
Yeah, or just make it all pink. I thought you were doing this mix, but black is good too.
Oh, okay. Do you
It's
want me
all
to
good.
do the white part on here? Do you want the whole top done?
Yeah, just make it
Okay.
look prettier than it does normally.
Okay.
We're blinging stuff for pinners to bring cool accessories to our tables. So the word of wisdom. So basically, the Mormons have a living prophet at all times. There will always be a living prophet. Joseph Smith was their first living prophet, and he's the one who established the church, and he was given the word of wisdom, which is where you get all those things like you can't drink coffee, you can't drink tea, you can't do anything on the Sabbath. There's a lot in there to unpack, and I won't say that the holy underwear is just a part of that, but just so you guys all know that. So the holy underwear is, and it's funny that they call it this. I don't know if they're like making fun of themselves, but they're called garments. And basically, when you get sealed in the temple, you are now ready to go for the Lord and to be in heaven one day. So you get this shirt and shorts that you have to wear all the time. You wear them under your clothes, you wear them as close to your skin as possible, and it's a reminder every day that you walk with the Holy Spirit, and if you're sealed together with your family. So it's when you're sealed married, not just, I don't remember when you can get sealed as a child if you have to wear garments, but I think it's when you just get married. And it's a way of modesty as well, because you have to cover your garments. They're supposed to be secretive and special and intimate, so you cover every part of them, which then controls how much modesty you have. But the rule is you don't have to wear them when you shower, and you don't have to wear them when you're swimming. So again, that rule breaking part comes out, and where a lot of Mormons will wear one pieces and stay modest, a lot of them say, well, my garments aren't on, so I can wear whatever I want. And that's just kind of one of those things where you're like, well, what do you believe? Do you really believe that it's for the modesty part, or do you believe that it's for the sacredness of it?
Yeah, I'd never heard that before. I heard her mention one thing in the show, but I've never heard about those garments.
Yeah, so every married Mormon sealed in the temple Mormon will have garments that they wear. And you can ask any of them about it. And so I was raised with my grandma, who actually got divorced later in life, and her husband never was Mormon. My aunt actually got my family to move into the Mormon church when she was in high school. So my dad didn't really convert till he was in high school anyways, which makes it easier to leave because it's not like your entire life. And my uncle's still in it, and my grandma and my grandpa were never really on the same page with religion. My grandpa would not go to the Mormon church, but she still got sealed, and so she would wear garments, and they got a divorce eventually, and so it was like, who are you gonna get given to when you get to the celestial kingdom, Grandma? Like, are you gonna go? Because
Did you ask her this?
no, I didn't know enough at
Right.
the time. Otherwise, I totally would have loved to have that conversation with her, because she was not like, she was like, yeah, I'm in this religion, but I'm not sure about it. You know, she was kind of
Interesting.
like, but I'm already bought in pretty much, and my whole life's almost over, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Did she pass when you were?
She passed when I was 17.
Okay.
And so I hadn't gone through that whole learning about the Mormon church thing yet. And
Right.
so I just was like, yeah, they're Christians. And I do believe that my grandma had a strong relationship with Jesus. I don't know how that works. I don't know, like, when she got there, was he like, I don't know. So I pray that she had a relationship with the real Jesus, and I don't know.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah. So my niece brought a bunch of questions who was raised Mormon as well. But just finished.
Is this the niece I know?
Yeah, just finished Wine No Coffee. Again, the word of wisdom. So basically, he said you shouldn't drink coffee or tea. And so now they go and they drink every other thing under the sun except alcohol.
I think on the show it was just like they're not supposed to do that because it their body is a temple, so they can't, like, they're just not supposed to drink those two things. But like you said, but then they soda shops open like coffee shops,
Right.
and they drink soda all day, so
Right.
it's like
The word of wisdom is literally a like document. I'm not sure if it's a whole book. I think it's just more of like a profession that he came out with to tell them, like, this is what I'm requiring you not to do. And I actually watched a podcast on this because I was like, why did they, and it just makes no sense. And they were saying that the living prophet can come out with a new word of wisdom whenever they want, as long as, I mean, not when they want, but if God reveals it to them what to do. And that's how polygamy got ended, basically, was back in the day, Mormons practiced polygamy. And this is one of the things that a lot of people are like, well, where's the polygamy thing? How does that work? And they got a new revelation, and they always have to get new revelations to stay with the times, honestly, because they've done a lot of stuff that is really, like, questionable. And so one of those things was polygamy. When the government was oppressing them and saying, no, you can't do this anymore, all of a sudden there was a new revelation from God saying, actually, polygamy is wrong. And so that's when you have the split from the Reformed Mormons and, like, the FLDS, like, those are the ones you hear about living on compounds and things like that. They ended up staying in there, living the principle. And then you have the Reformed LDS, which is what we see today most of the time, and those are the ones who say, no, we got a new revelation that polygamy is no longer accepted, and so we live with one wife. Although they still do believe when you get to the celestial kingdom, you will have many wives. So there's still a gray area between where they stand with polygamy. And then there's also so in the show, the black girl does mention how she's obviously, like, one of the only black.
yeah,
I feel like, yeah, I feel like in Utah, it's definitely like you're one of the only ones. In other states and other cultures, like, I feel like we have a lot of mixed Mormon families everywhere, all ethnicities, all colors. But, and this will be one that kind of is like, whoa, red flag. But in the creation of Joseph Smith's book, they did talk about the fact that black people are the descendants of Cain, and they are cursed with darkness. And this was, you just suck up. Ew!
It's mint. It was a huge mint leaf. Sorry. So sorry.
Okay.
I went back there. I'm like, oh,
wow.
sorry.
So this is what if you talk to if you talk to Mormons, they may know this, they may not know this, but basically they will change. Dustin actually has an original Book of Mormon. He went and found the original one before they started taking stuff out. And there are, so you can go to the normal Book of Mormon today, like from their bookstore, and get it, and it will have these parts taken out. But they basically started with God's people are white and delightsome. And
white and delightsome.
And black people are cursed with darkness.
Wow.
And this is why, I don't want to say this is why you don't see a lot of black Mormons these days, but you see more because that was a new revelation later when black people started going, wait a second, what? That is not right.
Right.
In fact, Jesus probably was black. Like,
right, he was of darker skin.
Yeah, like white and delightsome does not line up with what Jesus looked like. And so that ruffled a lot of feathers, and so that got changed again. So these things can change. All that to say was when I was watching that podcast of, you know, why are energy drinks okay but coffee's not, and they said with their own mouths, when a new prophecy comes out telling us that energy drinks are bad, we will then stop drinking energy drinks. And I was just like,
so I feel like that is the perfect opportunity for, I mean, I don't know if I want to say this. Never mind, I'm gonna keep that to myself. Find a thought to myself.
okay.
Sorry. Sorry.
Tiff's so much more reserved. I'm like, let me just cut to the chase.
It's just to have so much faith in this man who says it's from God, but it's literally getting changed with like the times or what's trending or what we see as a problem, and now all of a sudden it's a new prophecy.
Right. And as believers in the Bible is offensive, and the Bible is going to ruffle feathers, and the Bible is going to cause division and hurt and pain and suffering in certain ways, and there's nothing we can do about it. Like, there's nothing we can do about it.
We live in a fallen world.
Yes. And it's like, you either own it or you don't. You don't get to say, like, oh, yeah, I only believe in some of it. You have to know it in context. You have to understand it, and then you have to, like, you have to accept that, yeah, not everyone's going to like you. And there's going to be things that your Bible says that are controversial, but at the same time, it doesn't change with the culture. And
right.
That's why, because it doesn't change with the culture.
Right, because it's the Word of God.
Right. And there's a lot of things about the Mormon culture that I love, and I wish, you know, could be more implemented, because I don't think drinking alcohol is healthy. But I mean, what happened with Prohibition? Like, it doesn't work to take something completely away. Like, you've got to let people choose for themselves.
Right. And I mean, as Christians too, we choose not to get drunk, but we don't do it because I feel like it's a legalistic thing. At least for me personally, I mean, I have done that in the past. Like, there was a time when I wasn't a Christian and walking with the Lord where I drank a lot and I got drunk all the time and all that kind of stuff. But now as a Christian woman, I feel like I don't even want to, it's not like I'm even giving something up. It's just like, I love the Lord so much. I love the joy he gives me. And just, I don't even want to do that.
Yeah.
It's not like I feel like I have to or I'm missing out or whatever. It's like I would just rather not.
Right. And when Jesus was addressed with this same topic, they were like, we shouldn't eat this because we're not supposed to eat this, and they're not supposed to eat that because they're not supposed to eat that, and should we eat this if we're in front of someone who struggles with this? And Jesus was literally like, it's not what goes into your mouth that makes you unclean, it's what comes out of your mouth that makes you unclean. Like, he would always just stifle people with, are you paying attention? No, you're so up here with, and I'm talking about biblical people, not us, like the people he was talking to. He was just like, you guys are so caught up in what to do and what not to do that you're just missing the whole point in general. Are you stumbling? Whether you're stumbling with sugar addiction or laughing gas addiction at the Botox place or whatever, where are you and what are you struggling with? And it's going to be different for everyone, and we're always going to have to die to ourselves. So it's not even a matter of like, do you struggle? It's what do you struggle with? And how are you getting closer to the Lord by allowing the conviction to change you?
Exactly.
And there's no room for that when you're just like, well, I'm fine because I'm not doing it. That's literally biblical. They were like, I've kept all of the commandments, Lord. Which one is the most important? Like, what have I done wrong? The rich young ruler. And God is like, or Jesus was like, go sell everything. Like, he was like, what do you struggle with, brother? You struggle with your possessions. Go sell everything and then come back to me. And he's like, I can't do that. It's because it's what he was struggling with, not that he wasn't abiding by all the commandments. It's just, but if, I don't know.
And that's like a good point. We're all struggling with different things, and it's not if we struggle, it's what do we struggle with.
Right.
So yeah, it's a good way to just check your heart. Like, yeah, I might not struggle with you know, drinking alcohol or whatever, but where else is it that I'm struggling? I'm struggling right now with just being in the Word. And that's a huge struggle for me right now.
Right. And it's like, how much does that cause us to judge others when we're constantly focusing on what other people are doing wrong? If we could just focus on what the Lord wants of us, we could stop running into that issue altogether. But it's always going to happen too. It's like, it's human nature. What's the difference between a Mormon and a Christian? I think I kind of covered that in the beginning. What Bibles do they use? I talked about that. Why get married so young? That's always bothered me. Realistically, my opinion. I'll say my opinion. I think it's so they could have sex. Honestly, I mean, Christians do it too, because sex is not looked at as something that should be outside of marriage. So Christians get married really young too. The difference is Mormons also preach that you should have lots of kids, and you're going to own your own planet one day, so you should have as many kids because your family needs to be a spiritual family that populates a whole planet one day. And that's why they start young. But I don't know. What do you think?
So what happens if a Mormon family struggles with not being able to have children, or maybe they just want one kid? Is that, you know what I mean?
If you want one kid, that's
will you be looked down upon if you don't want to have 8 kids?
I think every family is different how they look at people not living by what they're supposed to do, but I think if you were to be immersed in the culture, you would get the pressure of having a lot of kids. You would constantly feel inadequate if you weren't. And I'm pretty sure if you're not having kids, if you can't have kids, they feel like there's something you've done wrong but I'm not going to say that's a fact. I don't know exactly where that would come from. But, yeah, I don't know. But I'm trying to think if I know any families that have, only one kid and they're Mormon. I don't.
They're all bigger families.
And I think they're smaller now. I feel like when we were young, I know I had friends whose had 8 or 9 siblings always, because they were Mormon, because I knew a lot of Mormons, so I just feel like it was more common to have huge families, and now it's just have a few, that's a good amount,
right?
But I'm not sure where they stand right now with that. It's a lot of kids in mouths to feed, and I always feel for Mormon fathers, because I'm like, how the heck do you provide for all those kids?
Right.
And Mormons are so good at extracurricular activities. They sing, they dance, they do gymnastics, they do sports, they are actors, they do everything. And that's expensive.
Well, yeah, especially if you're doing that for 8 kids.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's
expensive to do that for one kid.
Which I think comes into the influencer part of it. It's a lot of influencers are Mormon because they make good money.
Right, the moms are helping support with their with their influence. Yeah, because those girls on the show, they're making some big money.
Yep.
And they did say that they were the breadwinners for the family.
Yeah, the one is you haven't gotten to, we'll talk more about it, I think, for one more episode after you get to the rest of it, because I'd be interested in hearing what you think about the next few episodes, because they go into more of the, like, more of the stuff.
Yeah, I'm not even there. Like I said, I give myself like 30 minutes a day to like watch it in the morning.
I know. I know. I just can't put the garbage in the morning. I watch it when I'm designing. Like, I even told us, I was like, you don't want to watch this. It's garbage.
Trash.
It's trash. But, yeah, it's just interesting. I think if it was more of just the theology, he'd be all about it. But it, like, obviously there's
it's more about the girls' lives.
Well, and you'll see in the next 3 episodes, it gets really, really raunchy.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, they go to Vegas, and then they talk about their plastic surgeries they've had, and it's just like, you guys, are you trying to, like, I feel like they're trying to convert people out of the Mormon church, which half of them are not Mormon. The other half are, and I think they're kind of upset about it because they posted on their social medias like, we're not even Mormon. They're like making us look like we're Mormon. We're not.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I know. To make it look more hypocrisy, as somebody had asked, like, can you talk about the hypocrisy? Are all the men that controlling, or is it just there's ones in every religion? And this is where you'll get to if you keep watching. No,
I don't know.
I will say not all the men are controlling. And what I will say is you nailed it. Every religion is going to have controlling men in it. The problem is if your religion condones it, it could make for a already controlling man to be even further controlling, is what I think they're documenting in the show. But it's, again, a fine line, because honestly, I think the couple you're talking about does the best job of actually living out their faith right. Like, she just didn't want to go to a Chippendales thing, and he was livid about it, and it was like, yeah, there's probably more stuff that they're talking about, but, like, there's nothing wrong with not wanting your spouse to go somewhere because you think that it's not good for you guys.
Yeah.
So I fall more in line with the husband on that topic specifically, and I did not like how all the women were like bad mouthing him on that topic. Obviously, like, control is control, but
and there would be a man who wasn't religious who wasn't okay with that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's what I was like, this is an apples and oranges type of conversation they're having with this.
I haven't seen this episode, but I'm just saying, like, religion, I don't think plays a part in that. Like, you can be controlling and not religious, or vice versa.
Exactly. And if you are in a religion that kind of condones it, then you have more of a, like, well, let me lord this over you, that you're not supposed to go to these too.
Right.
Like, instead of just let you use your own mind, like, this is probably just not good for anyone who wants to stay committed to their marriage.
Right.
But if you aren't, but your family is, can you still talk to them and see them? That, yes, you can definitely still talk to your Mormon family. And I'll say again, every family is different. I know some people who have, like, cut off family members who left the church, and I know people who left the church and their family's like, how would I ever cut them off? That's my family. Like, so I think that's just something that all families struggle with, that type of stuff, regardless of your religion. And I think that it just makes that something that was going to happen anyways already more escalated. But I will say that it is very hard to interlock your lives as families when one person is not Mormon, because your entire life is in existence with your Mormon community. And so it can be very hard to be welcome in all of the environments, because you're not always going to go to everything, especially if they're doing something in the temple and you're not able to get into the temple because you're not Mormon. Not that that's, like, they're doing that all the time, but it does cause disunity. But
yeah,
And I will say there's still that shame element too of like if your kids have left the church and they're older, like there's still this level of shame and you know, whereas like if my kids left my church, the church that I raised them in, I pray that they find another church somewhere. But if I had a specific religion, like I don't have a specific denomination that I'm like, you have to be a part of this denomination or you're not a part of this anymore. Like, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And they definitely, there's always like that overlying, well, one day, you know, maybe you'll come back or at least you're baptized. So, I don't know.
Right. No, I get what you're saying.
I'm gonna go back to the comments on this now because
there's a lot of
well, my niece asked a bunch of them, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna ask. She asked a bunch.
looks like there needs to be a little discussion.
Right. Well, no, we talk about it openly all the time, so that's why we're like, she's like, what about this? What about this? What about this?
I love it.
I mean, if you deep dive into Joseph Smith's actual life, you will find that he was not the best guy on the planet. Far from it, actually. So, simply put, religion is this issue. It's about a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Yep. Jeff Durbin devotes a huge part of his life to evangelizing Mormons. It's amazing. Do you know who that is?
Mm-mm.
Larissa sent that. Jeff Durbin. There's also a channel called Hello Saints, and I'm obsessed with it. He's an evangelical pastor that reads through the Book of Mormon, and he actually lives in Utah now. He moved to Utah because he goes to, he's not in any way rude or disrespectful at all to the religion. He has tons of Mormon friends, and he just breaks it down and like says, okay, let's open this book and let's read about it.
I love that.
Right?
I love when you can have a difference and just talk about it and show with love and like evidence and everything and live your life alongside with maybe people you don't agree with, but evangelize on what a mission that is. Like you don't have to go across the 7 seas to go be a mission. If your heart is called to go to Utah and do that with the Mormon, like that's so cool.
Right. I know. I'm like, I'll take that mission. That's be fun. You live close to home. When I, as a young teen, I babysat for a Mormon family. I was asked to make a cake, could not find a cake mix in the house, so took kids to the store, got one, made it. Dad asked where I got it. I told him. He looked at the box, threw out the cake, told me never to buy again. Wife told me later it's the devil's cake. It was devil's food cake.
That's hilarious.
Okay, to be fair, I know Christians who would act that way too.
That's hilarious.
Oh man. And that's the hard part, is like you're gonna have extremes on all levels that make it look bad and make it look good, but it's really just about where are you at with the Lord.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know.
Again, it's a heart thing.
It is. The thing about, this is where I kind of get sensitive to the topic, is the definition of a cult and what that is. And one of the definitions of that is not being able to be a free thinker if you're not encouraged to, which realistically, even watching something like this would be a sin, because we're speaking against, well, I wouldn't say we're speaking against, but if anything is going against what you believe, they're encouraged not to listen to it. And so if you're a practicing Mormon, you are not supposed to research any biblical topics outside of Mormon.org. And if you go on any influencer, active Mormon influencer, they will have a link to LDS.org or church. I think they changed it to Church of Jesus Christ.org now, but it's still the same website. When I was a kid, it was Mormon.org. But now they don't like to be called Mormons. They like to be called LDS, Latter-day Saints. And then they also don't.
They also call themselves just Christians.
I don't know. I could go deep.
Which
into
is,
all
yeah,
that.
that's so, like...
It's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
But they changed their, like, the way, and I'm not sure, like, when this came out, but if you watch a lot of influencers who are Mormon, you'll notice that they now call the Church of Jesus Christ. That's all they call it. They no longer say they're LDS. They might say it if, like, you ask them, but when they're just presenting their religion, they'll say we're the part of the Church of Jesus Christ. They took off of Latter-day Saints, and somebody must have, during a talk, told them, like, if you're presenting yourself on the internet, no longer say this because whatever. But and then that's their number one argument, is that we are Christians. Look, Jesus Christ is in our name. And it's like, okay. I mean, I could theologically go into the deepness of that.
Changing things again for the trendy trends or the times or whatever. It's like,
Right.
It just is what it is.
Right.
So that's, again, a red flag for me.
And so it's hard to have these types of conversations with any active practicing Mormon, because they're taught that if you're coming from a oppositional point of view, then you're speaking through, like, you're letting the enemy speak through you. And so if you are going to talk to a Mormon about anything, you can back it with anything from Mormon.org, basically, and you have to back it with links and articles from that website or their own books. Otherwise, if you have your own opinions or anything, it's very hard, because you can talk about the history and how it doesn't line up and different things, because there's a lot that falls through the cracks when you do some deep diving. You realize supposedly Jesus Christ came to the Americas after he died on the cross, and he came over here and witnessed to the Native Americans. And there's a lot in that portion that cannot possibly happen with what he had said. Like, there are horses and like, horses were not domesticated at that time. There's just a lot. Historians will, like, often not waste their time even deep diving into the text,
Right.
because it just falls through
Right.
really easily.
Whereas, again, with the Bible, it is historically accurate.
Yes, and it just boggles people and
It
proves
boggles,
it wrong.
yes, historians, secular historians, just everything. It's like, it's because it's just divine.
Right, and
And-
because maybe it's true.
Yeah, it's the truth.
Right.
And it wasn't made by a man.
Right. And so sometimes I'm more like, I love to talk about it openly, because I'm so grateful for my family members who have always been willing to just open up to me and share things without, like, condemning me, being like, well, you are half Mormon, or however you want to say it. Like, they just allowed me to ask questions, and we
And
talked
discover
about it.
for yourself the truth.
Yes.
Which is a beautiful thing.
Right.
And you should be allowed to ask questions.
Yes. You should be.
You should be allowed to ask questions and critically think and be like, okay, well, why is that?
Right.
And have, like, someone explain it and show you evidence, and yeah.
Yep. And me being a little investigator, loving to learn about everything, I'm like, why? And Briley is the same way. I love it, but I have lots of conversations with her about it. 'Cause she's like, well, how do you know we're in the right religion? I'm like, okay, that's like a unpacking question. Let's talk about it. And she gets bored, and so we don't finish the conversation half the time. But I love that she asks it, and I always allow her to go, okay, well, you want to know what's in the Quran? Let's read it. You want to know what's in the Book of Mormon? Let's read it. I don't want her to be afraid and think, obviously, being raised in a pastor's family, you're going to be like, do I believe this, or do I just say I believe this?
Right.
So
And I feel like that's normal whether you're in a pastor's family or not. You're going to ask a ton of questions because you should. Yeah, because Emmy asked me really deep questions too, like that. And you know what? Sometimes I don't have all the answers, and I need to call on people who know more than me. And sometimes I'm like, you know what? I don't know. Let's go to the Bible and look that up, or figure it out together, or
right. And it's so good, like.
Yeah, because I want her to, you know, kind of like what you with Briley, like, I want her to not be a Christian because, oh, mom was a Christian, dad was a Christian, they go to church, you know, this is how it's always been. I want it to be because of her relationship and her heart and her truths and being a little investigator and finding that out for herself.
Right. And you know what's hard about that is most of the time the Lord meets us in our brokenness, and that's when your relationship becomes real with them, and real with Him. But like realizing that we have to allow our kids to have their own brokenness. Like we can't save them from everything. We have to let God do that. And like, I mean, I'm walking through that a little bit more because my kids are a little bit older. But just like knowing that they're gonna make mistakes and they're gonna be lonely and they're gonna be sad and they're gonna be all these emotions where the Lord can meet them in those places. And as a mom, you're like, my job is to make their life beautiful,
easy, no struggles,
right?
Learn from my mistakes,
right? And the Lord's like, hold up, I'm their parent. Are you their parent? Yes, for a little while, but I'm their fulfillment. So he'll meet them, but that means we have to let them have their own little testimonies.
I was just gonna say, yeah, you can't protect them from their testimony because their life, their hardship, their joys, everything is their testimony.
Right. And if we think we can, we're literally being self-righteous and thinking that we are the ultimate source of their like safety and security, which yes, physically we are, but there is a time in life when
you will have to rely on Jesus.
Yeah, and if I die, I'm not gonna be here, so
right.
They're gonna need someone.
Right. That's so true.
Yeah.
Any more comments on
No,
YouTube?
The last was the cake one.
That's so fun.
But again, like I said, all religions have messy people involved. You have to have grace for everyone. There's no perfect Christian, there's no perfect Mormon, there's no perfect
anything.
We might act like it sometimes, or think we are acting like it, but people, it's okay to not be okay.
Absolutely.
Which you can tell in the show they struggle with the fact that, I mean, that's the whole reason they're doing this, is that they want to break the stigma of it, but it's like the stigma of like the women oppression, but at the same time it's like, but you are kind of in a religion that oppresses women, so you're either in or you're out. You gotta figure it out.
Right. But I feel like, honestly, like, I don't know if this is portraying them breaking the stigma in the most classy way.
No.
It's almost like comical.
Yeah, that's
which
the hard
is
part.
Yeah, which is hard, because if you were truly wanting to break the stigma, but I don't think this will be the best way to go about it.
Right. And someone had said on Instagram, I think it's funny that because there are already social media Mormons before them with YouTube. Yeah, like anyone who has been watching YouTube for years knows that like the Mormons streamlined the vlogger world, they streamlined everything. Like, probably don't realize how many there are in the influencer world, but like any big YouTuber that started, like 50% of them were Mormons. But yeah, first vlogger family was Mormon, and they work together. They work really good together to like collaborate, like what they're doing on Mom Talk.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And it's interesting because now I'm going to go into like the trashy part of the show. It's interesting that they banked everything on the swinger aspect when it's really not even a part of the show. I was really looking forward to hearing more about that, honestly.
Right. But it's old news. They just bring it up for like more shock value. But
It really is old news.
like, she did that a while ago.
Right. And so that's why that triggered that thought in my mind, was because I personally know a lot of the Mormon YouTubers, and stuff had come out later about them that I was like, whoa, I had no idea. But I'm not going to say that it wasn't like open that was going on.
Right.
And that's why I kind of was like, I don't think I'm going to go to CBX Live anymore. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely just like in the very beginning of watching it. I told myself I actually wasn't gonna watch it because it is so trashy.
It's so bad, and it gets worse.
I know, and I try not to, but you know, I do like trashy TV sometimes because you just don't have to think, you know.
Right.
But yeah, sometimes I'm just like, oh my gosh. Sometimes I do feel convicted, but I've already talked to you about that with like other shows that I watch. Sometimes I'm like, should I be watching this?
It's interesting though, because again, those shows are not based around a religion, and this one is. So it's like, this one's raunchier than some of those.
Could you imagine the secret lives of Christian wives and like what Christian wives would be doing? Because I don't think it would be like this. And I'm not trying to like say that there's no one who's like a lukewarm Christian wife or whatever who would, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just don't, like, are they representing the Mormon
norm?
Yeah, like norm, or yeah.
Okay, so I think that's the difference is, yeah, I'm sure you could pluck a few people to make a really interesting show in any religion, in any type of, you could do Secret Life of the Book Lovers' Wives, or Secret Life, you could do anything and handpick the right people and make any group of people look bad. Definitely. But is it depicting the norm? And I will say, it probably doesn't depict the norm in Utah, but it definitely calls out a lot of the culture. There is plastic surgery is the number one spot for plastic surgery is in Salt Lake City. It's just, it's the culture there. And I even have Mormon family in California who are like, we're Mormon, but we're not like that. Like, we're not Utah Mormon. And it's like, you're consumed by it yourself. You're surrounded by everyone who does this stuff, so you think it's normal, I guess. I don't know.
I will say, I didn't realize how beautiful
Utah
is, with the mountains back there and the snow falling on there. Like, it was really pretty.
Dude, Utah's if I had to move out of California just for pure location of like what the land looks like, Utah.
Really?
Weather, perfect. Snow, perfect. It's not like massive amounts. You can snowboard, you could go to the snow and go home and you're not in snow anymore. Like, and then you have like, I haven't even been to South Utah and I'm excited to visit because my nephew just moved down there. But like, no, hands down. And they're outdoorsy. This is why I'm like, dude, the Mormons got so much good stuff going for them too. Like, they should feature more of this stuff. Like, they're all outdoorsy, they're all sporty, the culture itself is like very into the arts, and that's why I'm just like, this is why it's so stupid. This is what is making the news for it, because honestly, like, The Chosen is actually produced by Daryl Eves, who is a Mormon. It's not fully produced by Mormons, but Daryl Eves has a big part of that, and he is Mormon. And what's the guy's name that produces that, like, who actually is the writer of that show, or like the creator of it? He has come out because people have given him flack for having Mormons work on his show. And he is like, I'm fine with anyone working on here as long as we make sure that The Chosen is actually depicting what Jesus's life was, you know. But
yeah.
Have you watched The Chosen?
I've watched like maybe 2 episodes, but I haven't like gotten into it, and I watched it a while ago.
It's so good.
Is it?
Yeah, you should watch it.
Okay, maybe I will. Maybe I will.
It'll balance the trash.
Right? Seriously.
Okay, listen, I can watch 4 episodes for every season of The Chosen I watch.
That's why I know. She gave me crap because I was like, oh yeah, I watched 30 minutes in the morning. And she's like, why do you watch that crap in the morning? It's because if I allow myself to watch it at night,
oh, you'll watch more.
I'll watch more. Because I have things to do and I'm like out of my house by 9 a.m.
Right.
It cuts me off. At night, I would binge the whole entire show.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's why I do it that way.
Got it.
Because there was.
See, I'm the opposite. I know if I start the show in the morning, because I kind of watch here throughout the day. But like, I'm like, no, you can do something to start your day without trash. But like, if I start it with trash, it's just gonna be like, oh, I did a lot. I watched a lot of trash.
Gotcha. Isn't it funny how people have like just everyone's different. Everyone's so unique and like what works for them. Yeah, because I'm up at 6 o'clock. Like, I'm doing breakfast and lunches and getting ready for the day. So it's like when I eat breakfast for 30 minutes, I can sit and watch something. And right now it happens to be this show.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, 9 o'clock. Like, get your little booty outside.
Yep. Oh, trash TV.
Mm-hmm. Look at these little babies.
Those are so cute.
These look better mixed.
I love it.
Yeah, so I did 2 versions.
Oh, no, they're cute. All together, it's
like
a little set.
Okay.
Wow, you're getting... I'm over here like... I don't know what it is about this mix, but it takes me forever to use it.
Because it doesn't, like, align beautifully.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just never can do it fast. And I've got one
It looks really good, though.
Is it?
You could even do just the ring around that and then do the rest with your Duchess or something.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to go with the rings to start, so in case I can't get the whole thing, at least it looks a little bit more cohesive.
Yeah.
Look at you. Thank you for talking about our Lord God. Bless you both. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I love talking about him, especially, like I said, since I haven't been in the Word, which I need to be, but it helps to just, like, talk with other peeps.
Study different things.
Yeah.
Waffles and True Crime says, I have 4 kids. Oldest is 35, youngest is 24, and I have 9 grandbabies. Lay the foundation for them and then surrender them and your will to the Lord and watch him work. He is faithful.
Yeah, he really is.
Such good advice.
He really is a faithful God, and he will meet you exactly where you're at, where you need him in his time.
Right. And where are the mentor moms in this group? Where are the older women speaking life into these women and being like, excuse me, I think you should get your hoo-ha off the internet.
They're so funny. They reminded me of the Kardashians when they were like, look at this picture!
Well, yeah. Well, no, it gets worse. And I think about the Kardashians a lot, too, because I'm like, they're all, like, they pray and stuff, but they're less raunchy than they used to be, for sure. They were way raunchier in the beginning, but yeah.
You what?
I just have a hard time with, like, going, where are the mentor moms? So I literally just listened to Sadie Robertson's podcast. She had Priscilla Schreier on there. And do you know who that is?
No.
So Priscilla Schreier, she's big in the speaker community and Christianity. But Sadie was saying that Priscilla sent her a video, like a message one time when she was on vacation saying like, hey, I don't think this is what you're trying to do on social media. Like, maybe you should consider not posting something. And so, I don't know. I just am like, do they have mentor moms? Do they have older people who are ahead of them?
You know what? I feel like they don't because of the taboo. Like the one lady
Right.
that people don't like. What's her name? Whitney? A lot of people don't like the Whitney girl with
Yes.
the short hair. Her mom, she was like, she couldn't even talk to her mom, so if she can't talk to her mom, how could they talk to other women?
Right.
So I truly think that they don't have that.
I don't either. And if they do, they're hearing this like, well, we do this because we're told to. We do this because we're told to. It's like, why are you not instilling a relationship with the Lord into the younger generation so that when they are tempted, because no judgment, all of us have gone through our own seasons of whatever, and these women are just choosing to document it on a television show.
Oh God, if my stuff was documented,
right?
It would be outrageous.
The one regret you're gonna have, ladies, is the fact that you shared this with too many people who have too many opinions like us.
Right.
But where are their moms? Where are their grandmas that have been praying for them for generations to not like I don't know.
Right. I feel like they're, like I said, and I feel like the reason that we like watching these shows is I feel like Mormonism is so taboo. There's so many closed doors, and there's so many things that go against like our cultural norms, like their swinging and their polygamy and all this stuff, that we're so intrigued to know. But I just think that they are each other's mentors, but they're all in the same season of life. So how can they mentor when someone hasn't already walked through that and can like, give them sound advice.
Right.
So, and that makes me really sad actually, because there's so many older people, that I truly look up to and who give just sound advice, and I would be lost without them.
Absolutely.
So
I couldn't do life the last 3 years without my mentors. Like,
yeah.
absolutely not. And they all are timely and seasonal for each thing. The Lord has brought specific people years and years ahead of me through my marriage and through my parenting right now a lot. Like, for people to just speak life into me and to call me out if I'm wrong, but also to like walk alongside me through those painful things of like, yeah, this is hard. We've done it. And then honestly, like, they need mentorship too. Like, it's never an ending thing. Like, people need that iron sharpening iron constantly.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. People to call you out in love. Not people to just be like, oh, like, it's no big deal or whatever, but people to be like, no.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Right.
This is your fault in it. Like, don't glaze out. You know what I mean? It's like really people loving you and telling you like the truth, even though it is hard to say.
Right.
And you might not receive it well, but then getting the opportunity to really think on it and being like, I love this person. I trust this person. I know they weren't hurting me
Right.
by saying that. And so maybe I really truly need to reflect on whatever, the way I'm talking to people or what I'm doing or like raising kids. Like, maybe I didn't see my harshness in how I was talking to my husband, but thank you, sister, for calling me out and letting me know. Like,
right.
that truly is needed.
Yep.
So.
Waffles and True Crime says, Priscilla and Sadie are amazing. Have you ever watched War Room? Yes. Have you seen that movie?
No.
Oh, it's a good movie.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, Priscilla is an amazing actress, and she talked about the spiritual battles that happened when she said yes to that movie, and it's really, really cool to like hear her testimony. But you probably would know who she is if you saw her. She's black. She's done a few movies, and she's doing a new movie right now too.
No, I'm better though with faces, that's for sure.
And then Sadie Robertson is from Duck Dynasty.
I don't know who that is.
You know who Duck Dynasty is?
I've heard of Duck Dynasty, but I never watched it.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
You've never seen Duck Dynasty?
Look at that. Look at my butterfly.
Oh, cute!
Look, guys. So cute. You don't have to bling a whole cup. You can just
Subtly bling.
Yeah. Should I put it on both sides?
Yes.
I feel like I should.
I love it.
That's really pretty.
So if anyone's going to Dallas Pinners, I'll be there and I'm teaching a class.
Oh, yes.
I'm excited.
I'm excited for you.
I'm so excited to teach a class. Like, that's kind of what I want to do for the rest of all the events we do. I'm over this booth stuff. It's like so much work. It's just like decorating a whole booth
It was
is a lot.
intense.
But I mean, I think I've got it down a little bit more this next event, and I'm bringing a way smaller craft, so I think it'll be, but still equally as cool. So I think it'll be fun. But man, I am like, can I just teach classes? That'd be more fun.
I think that you're gonna love teaching a class. I'm so excited for you. I just found out this morning because I didn't watch. You said you shared it on YouTube.
No, I didn't share that I was teaching a class. I found that out last night.
Oh.
Yeah, I shared yesterday. I unboxed. Well, you were here. I unboxed all my Amazon goodies that I got for the.
Oh, and that's when I came in after. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yep. And so I got all those organized, and I got more. I got the lanyard stuff in to sublimate. I'm excited.
I really enjoyed Pinners. I thought it was a really neat experience, but I will say, being older, it's a lot of work on the body, on the physical body.
And that's the thing is, we were busy the whole time, so we couldn't enjoy the show at all. Like, there were no moments for us to go look at other booths. There were no moments to talk to anyone except for people who were at our booth. And so that's why I think it would be really cool to be like, take the class, I'm explaining this. Like,
right.
So I don't have to explain it 100 times individually to people, and then open up the make and take after for like overfill. Like, we're doing more, you can come pick a different option of this, but now you already know how to do it.
Right.
And then, yeah, because I don't think I would give up doing the make and take part either, because that is so fun, but I was just like tired.
I was exhausted.
Yeah.
Like, I was physically, mentally, and I love to talk. But when you're talking all day, I was just like, at the end of the day, like when we all went to dinner, I was like, I felt like a bump on a log. I was like, I'm talked out, girls. I can't.
There was a moment a lady came up and she picked up my Craft Day Creator and she was like, what's a Craft Day Creator? And I was like, oh, that's one of my members. And she's like, what's a member? I was like, a Craft Day Creator. I was like, I can't explain it anymore.
And she was like getting like pissed.
She
She's
was
like, well, what's a creator?
Yeah, and I was like, hold on, let me get my energy back so I can try to explain this to you.
That's so funny.
But yeah, it's well, my and you won't be at this event, but my cousin's son who has his license offered to do our lunch runs and our coffee runs, so it's gonna be much easier to eat food because that was one thing we were like, all of us are like talking to someone 24/7 or 12 hours a day.
Yeah, we actually didn't know how busy it was gonna be, and Tay's original plan, she's like, 2 of us are gonna be there, 2 of us are gonna be like walking around checking stuff out. None of us could leave. We were so busy.
I was like, here, put some flyers in the bathroom when you pee. That's
Yeah,
all we can do.
exactly.
Like we got bathroom breaks and that was it.
And even then, it's like, all right, we're slow for a minute. I'm out of here. I gotta go pee.
Yeah, and I did. Yeah,
It was a really cool event, though.
It was so fun. It was really cool. I think if we were closer to super tight, we would have been able to like take a little bit more of a break because we were spending so much time explaining what glue we use and why. And
it's just funny that blinging is still such a new concept to some people, because I feel like, well, I guess it's because we're around it all day, but I just feel like I'm just shocked.
Well, it's an intimidating craft. Like you have to have all the supplies, and then
Sure.
you have to have the time to do it. So it's like if we can show people like, no, we like to subtly bling.
I feel like this is one of the less intimidating crafts with like all you girls and your machines. Like blinging is like the least to me. Like, yeah, you need a couple things. You need glue, a picker, and bling, and an object.
Right.
But you don't have to worry about designs or doing this or that. So
True. That's why it's so fun to bring to things and do.
and no one at Pinners was doing anything close. Like they had cups there, but no one was like showing anyone how to do this.
Yeah, they have a rhinestone pen class they're doing, and we're gonna be in Texas. So honestly, I was like, we're going to like the rhinestone capital of the world. It might not be as, it might be like subtle bling. What the heck? We don't do that here.
Right, we bling everything.
Yeah, because they are blingy. Everything is blingy in Dallas. So we may or may not be received well in that. But I have other like I'm teaching a bunch of other stuff in the cup class.
I love that.
Yep.
I'm excited for you.
But we haven't had any commenters ever say they're going to Dallas yet. So
Who's going to Dallas?
Texas is so big. There's like this, what is that, story template going around where you like check off all the places you've traveled, and there's like 5 just in Texas alone.
Really?
And I'm like, why would that, like, I don't want to go to Texas 5 different times for 5 different like bucket list spots.
Right?
But I guess it's that big.
That is crazy. Well, yeah, everything's bigger in Texas.
Right? The other show we're watching is it's not alone, it's like their teams in Alaska survive. So I watch this at night, and then I can fall asleep to it and not feel bad because I didn't miss like all the drama. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a good show. That's the type of stuff Dustin and I watch together.
Are they like trying to survive in Alaska?
Yeah, and then they're on teams. It's just like Alone, but they're on teams, and there's like 4 teams, and they can leave their team and go on another team, and it's down to 5 people teams now. But anyone know the name of what I'm talking about?
That sounds actually really good.
It is really good, and because it's like, it's just a quieter show. I love like quiet stuff at night and like simmer down. I can't have my brain going at night like that watching. Which is funny because I'm like, you watch that in the morning? I guess I just do things in the middle of the day when I'm like, I'll watch this while I'm like mindlessly doing other things. But
yeah. No, and I think I only watch 30 minutes too because I can like comprehend what's going on. It starts to just get all over the place. So I'm like, okay, it's taking like 30 minutes and I feel like I got one of the plot lines instead of like 5 different things happened in the episode. I'm like,
yeah, I know they're definitely, and they don't look ton alike, but there's a couple that look so much alike that I'm like, oh, I have to actually like look at who's talking.
Do you notice something funny do you notice that every girl has a first name only except Jen Affleck, who is
Affleck,
yes.
yeah.
I'm like,
Like, what are their names? But I like that they have only first names because it makes it easier for me to remember. I usually forget names.
Right.
And Demi, is that the one that I said I like?
Yes.
Yeah. She's not fake in the sense that she's not pretending like she's being a Mormon, but she calls everyone out. But I don't know. I really don't like their dynamic at all.
Like, of the girls' dynamic?
Yeah, and I know that it's a lot of the show doing it because I'm just like, they're not, I don't know, just the way that they do things to each other. I'm like, why would you do that?
Right.
That's totally the show.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel safe.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a sisterhood that I would want to share, like, a
Right.
problem or something, because I'm like, is this going to get let out?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this isn't a safe environment, which is, again, why I think that they probably have a hard time, even if they do have mentors, wanting to share or do anything, because it's like, we've kind of all been burned a lot by each other. So
Right.
how is there any trust?
There's not.
I love this. I love this so much. Okay.
All right.
That was fun, guys.
Yeah, it was.
So, I'm going out of town for a couple days.
Yeah.
So we'll do Bling and Blabber again next week.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll be live later this week doing more behind the scenes for pinners with you guys. I'm going to make the cups with you guys that I'll do in my classes. And we'll be back for Bling and Blabber maybe Monday. We'll do an episode.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. We'll come back next week for one episode and then I got to go to pinners. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. It'll be
I
great!
was just like, okay, I've got this. I know what to do. And now I'm like, now I'm teaching a class. It's a whole nother like round of this is your first time. This is your first time. So do it right.
But that's kind of cool. In the first pinners, you're like learning about your booth setup. Second pinners, you're learning classes. Your third pinners will be like easy peasy.
I think so.
So.
And I don't know which one that will be yet.